Welcome to Strange Sleep Stories, where we invite you to relax and drift away into a world of fascinating, forgotten tales. Tonight, we embark on a journey through the mysterious, the unknown, and the unsettling, as we explore the strange, often uncomfortable history of UFO watchers during the Cold War. Imagine yourself nestled in a quiet, dark corner of the world, the kind of place where the air feels heavier, the night is thicker, and the weight of secrets is palpable. The world beyond your tent is a canvas of shifting shadows, and your mind races, not with fear, but with a quiet, unshakable curiosity about the mysteries in the skies above. For tonight's journey, we are going to step back into a time where the pursuit of truth was as elusive as the things those brave individuals believed they were watching. So, as you settle in, feel the calm embrace of the present moment, and imagine yourself there, underneath the wide, star-studded desert sky, scanning radar signals, chasing mirages, and never truly knowing what's real. Picture yourself in the heart of the desert. The sun, still lingering low on the horizon, casts long shadows across the arid landscape. You're standing before your tent, the flap still open, offering a view of the vast emptiness that stretches out into the infinite. The dry, gritty sand brushes against your skin, and the air is heavy with the heat of the day, even as evening creeps in. You adjust the radar equipment at your side, checking the small, blinking screen. Its soft hum is steady uninterrupted, but also, in its own way, disquieting. The digital blips represent something unknown, something potentially dangerous, but nothing is clear. There are no signs to interpret, no distinct patterns to follow. Just a flickering screen, like a living thing you can never quite understand. Around you, the silence is profound, broken only by the occasional gust of wind that stirs the sand and sends it swarming in little whirlwinds. There's a stillness in the air that feels as if the world itself is holding its breath. But beneath that quiet, there are things you can't yet grasp, things just beyond the edge of the known world. As night falls, the sky above you becomes a deep velvet black, scattered with 1,000 stars. The constellations, like old friends, offer no comfort. Instead, there is a feeling that you are watching them, studying them, waiting for something. But there's always the haunting uncertainty. What are you watching for? Every night, the routine is the same. Scanning, observing, waiting for a glimpse of something unusual. Something ... other. But the desert plays tricks on your mind. And deep down, that you can never be sure. The flickering lights on the horizon could be aircraft from a nearby base, or they could be something else entirely. You're told time and time again to trust your instincts. But instinct can only take you so far when the only evidence you have is a flicker in the dark. The cool desert wind picks up, and the hum of the radar becomes almost deafening in the stillness, as if the machine is becoming aware of something you cannot see. It's a reminder that the unknown is constant, always just out of reach. You can hear the sound of your own breath, and with it, the creeping sense of isolation that comes with being out here, where you are both too far from civilization and too close to the edges of things that most people would never think to look for. Out here, under the starry sky, it's easy to feel as if the world has expanded, but also contracted, all at once. The endless desert stretches on, and you can't help but wonder what's hidden in the vast expanse. Perhaps it's the perfect place to hide a secret, quiet, remote, untouched by the world's noise. Or maybe, just maybe, it's the perfect place to watch. You shake off the thought, turning back to the task at hand. The radar screen continues to hum, the occasional signal cutting through the silence like a whisper in the wind. It could be nothing. It could be something. But for now, it's your job to observe, to record, and to wait. As the night deepens, the stars seem to grow brighter, their pinpricks of light sharp against the dark expanse of the sky. The air grows colder, but you remain in your spot, watching. What exactly you're watching for, you can't say, but you're sure that one day Just maybe, you'll know. This is where we begin, suspended in this constant state of waiting. A place where nothing is ever certain, and the line between reality and the unknown is drawn in shifting sand. For the watchers of the Cold War era, this was not just a pastime, but a constant, quiet struggle, one that carried with it both the allure of discovery and the fear of what might be uncovered. As you sit in the darkness of your tent, with only the hum of your radar and the rustle of the wind outside for company, you can help but feel the weight of something, heavy in the air, something that doesn't belong to the desert. This isn't an isolated, quiet night. This is one of those rare times when the world outside seems to hold its breath. Your mind drifts to stories you've heard, murmurs passed between fellow watchers, stories of strange occurrences, things not easily explained. One story, in particular, comes to mind. You've heard the tale of the Bentwaters incident, whispered between others like an old, haunted secret, always spoken in low voices. It was one of those rare events, one that made the unknown feel real, feel tangible, as if something other had brushed against the world, just for a moment. The year was 1980, and the place was Bentwaters, a remote U.S. Air Force base nestled in the rolling countryside of England. On the surface, it was just another military installation, rigid, orderly, designed to maintain peace during the ever-looming tensions of the Cold War. But beneath the surface, something far stranger was unfolding. You imagine yourself standing at the edge of the woods that surround the base, the night air cool and crisp against your skin. A low fog swirls around your ankles, the mist catching the soft glow of distant lights. The air is thick with anticipation. It's the perfect setting for something extraordinary, something that doesn't belong. As you peer into the dark, the first sign of something out of place appears, just a flicker in the sky, almost too small to notice at first. But then it grows, a series of lights moving across the sky in a way that no aircraft should. You're not sure what you're seeing, but there's something unsettling about it. It doesn't make sense. You watch as the lights dance erratically, moving in ways that defy physics. They seem to pulse, flicker, and even shift in formation, an unnatural symmetry that sends a chill crawling up your spine. A strange hum begins to fill the air, one that seems to resonate deep within your bones. Your radar crackles with static, but the screen remains clear, no indication of any aircraft, no trace of what could be causing this disturbance. The strange phenomenon doesn't last long, just a few moments, yet it feels like an eternity. But it's long enough to make you wonder, what were you really witnessing? The following day, reports begin to trickle in. A local farmer talks about seeing lights hovering low over his field. Others speak of hearing odd, muffled sounds, as though something heavy had been moving through the trees, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. And then, the military becomes involved. It doesn't take long for officials to respond, after all. This is a military base, and sightings of unidentified objects are never taken lightly. You imagine the calm, measured voices of the officers, their brows furrowed with concern, but there is an air of dismissal. This kind of thing, while strange, is just another routine matter. They'll investigate, of course, but they already know what to expect. Or at least, that's what they'd like you to believe. The investigation is quick, but something doesn't sit right with you. The reports are sealed. The base command releases nothing concrete to the public. The lights were explained away as a natural phenomenon, but something about that feels wrong. The whispers, however, continue. Whispers about an encounter too strange to ignore, about an unexplained event that had everyone on edge for weeks afterward. You envision the quiet interrogations that followed officials, standing under the tall pines that line the base, questioning those who had witnessed the lights. The tension in the air, thick as fog, heavy with the knowledge that some things are better left unspoken. The officials ask their questions with calm detachment, but there's something different in the way they speak, something guarded, almost too professional. You can almost hear the weight of the questions they ask. What did you see? What do you know? Those who witnessed the event are left with more questions than answers. And though official reports try to sweep the matter under the rug, the stories linger in the air, like smoke that won't dissipate. You've heard it, too, the stories of what those involved really saw. The strange craft, the inexplicable lights, the unearthly stillness that followed the encounter. These aren't the kind of stories you can dismiss with a wave of the hand. They've stayed with those who were there, knowing it their minds in the years that followed. And yet, as always, the truth remains elusive. The facts blur into something harder to grasp, something that doesn't fit neatly into the box of what you've been taught to believe. Were the lights from a secret military project? A testing of new aircraft? Or were they something else? Something beyond the limits of human technology, beyond the edges of the known world? The incident at Bentwaters may have been a brief, fleeting moment in the grand scope of history, but for those who witnessed it, it was a profound experience. The kind of experience that leaves you wondering for years to come. What was it? What did we see? As you sit back in your tent, the radar humming softly at your side, you wonder if the same questions will linger in your mind. The universe is vast, and out there, in the darkness of the skies, something other might be waiting, just as it always has. The night stretches on. The hum of the machine is almost soothing now, and the air is colder than before. But you can't help but feel the weight of those unanswered questions, drifting just beyond the edge of your mind, like the distant stars overhead. With that, the Bentwaters incident settles into the background, as mysterious and unresolved as the night itself. The strange lights, the quiet whispers, they remain part of the world you inhabit, ever present but impossible to fully understand. Now that the whispers of Bentwaters have faded into the quiet stillness of your mind, you return to your radar, adjusting it with the same meticulous care you've always employed. The hum of the equipment fills the air around you, comforting almost. But beneath that hum, there is still the feeling that something more is out there, lurking in the shadows of the night, beyond what any radar can detect. The sense of isolation is palpable again, but this time it brings with it a different kind of curiosity. A curiosity about places like Dugway Proving Ground and Area 51, the legends of which swirl around you like smoke trailing just out of reach. These two locations, steeped in mystery and speculation, have become symbols of the Cold War's most secretive efforts, places where the unknown is hidden and the truth is kept locked away. They've long captured the imaginations of those who watch the skies, who wait for the truth to emerge, even as the government keeps a tight grip on their secrets. You imagine yourself driving along a quiet, isolated road, miles away from the nearest town, heading towards Dugway Proving Ground. The landscape is barren, a dry and craggy stretch of Utah's salt flats, so flat and empty, it feels like the world itself has forgotten this place exists. Yet here, in the center of the desolation, lies Dugway, a military facility, a research center, and a testing ground for weapons, chemicals, and biological agents. The kind of place where experimentation and secrecy go hand in hand. For years, Dugway has been rumored to house some of the most classified projects in the world. It's a location where strange materials are tested, where unusual chemicals are handled with care, and where technology and science push the boundaries of what's considered normal. But for every official report that clears the air, for every explanation offered about what happens behind those guarded gates, there's an equal number of rumors, secrets, and unsolved questions. You imagine the vast, empty stretches of land surrounding Dugway sand, dust, and the remnants of old test sites. The air here feels different, too, a strange, oppressive weight hanging in the atmosphere. Maybe it's the history of the place. Maybe it's the rumors about the testing of weapons, so potent, so strange, that they could never be revealed to the public. Or maybe it's the other things, the ones you can't quite put into words, the ideas that flit through your mind when you hear about the dark corners of the world, Places like Dugway, with their long history of government cover-up strange phenomena and isolated research. Just as your thoughts begin to drift into the eerie quiet of Dugway, your mind moves to another similarly legendary place, Area 51, located deep within Nevada's remote Groom Lake region. Area 51 has been the subject of countless theories and stories. A secretive military base, it sits in a vast desert expanse, where few have ventured and fewer still have returned with any concrete answers. Here, the desert landscape feels even more oppressive, as though the earth itself is hiding something. Something the world was never meant to see. Area 51, with its expansive hangars and well-guarded perimeters, is often referred to as the epicenter of UFO research and alien technology, though the official government stance denies anything of the sort. For decades, rumors have circulated about what takes place within its high-security gates. Stories of crashed flying saucers, extraterrestrial autopsies, and highly classified spacecraft tests. Yet no one has ever provided definitive proof, just fragments of stories, blurry photographs, and half-whispered anecdotes. You can almost feel the heat of the desert sun on your skin as you envision the perimeter of Area 51. The dry, cracked earth beneath your feet. The endless stretches of sand stretching out into the horizon, seemingly empty, but with the unmistakable weight of something hidden in plain sight. Your mind drifts to the reports of strange lights seen in the skies above the base, unexplained aircraft soaring through the night, and sightings by military personnel that never saw the light of day. There are whispers that some of the technology that was tested at Area 51 didn't come from Earth, that the things they were studying, reverse engineering, were not of this world. You imagine the hidden hangars, the vast, underground facilities where strange crafts and unearthly objects are hidden away, shielded from the prying eyes of the public. Somewhere in the deepest recesses of this place, there is a secret that the world may never know. The thought of it, of a government so deeply entrenched in secrecy that they would risk everything to keep the truth hidden, gives you a strange, almost unsettling sense of awe. What would it be like to stand in a place like that? To walk among those darkened corridors? To catch a fleeting glimpse of something so far beyond your understanding? But even in the face of all these secrets, the government maintains its denial. Officially, Area 51 is nothing more than a test site for experimental aircraft and military technology. But those who have spent time near the base, the truck drivers who've seen strange convoys at night, the farmers who have witnessed inexplicable lights in the sky know better. The truth, it seems, is far more elusive. Both Dugway and Area 51, though vastly different in their function, share something in common: the presence of secrecy. They are places where the known world ends and the unknown begins. Places that exist outside the boundaries of what most people understand. And it is this sense of not knowing, the feeling of constantly being on the edge of something massive, that draws people like you to them, to the questions that don't have answers, to the mysteries that never fully reveal themselves. As you sit in your tent, listening to the soft hum of the radar, the quiet sensation of those mysteries grows within you. The world may never fully explain what happens at places like Dugway or Area 51, but the very fact that these places exist, shrouded in secrecy, only fuels the sense of wonder. Perhaps one day, the truth will be revealed, or perhaps it will remain hidden, locked away in the deepest corners of the world, forever out of reach. With that, we've delved into the shadowy depths of Dugway and Area 51, two places that embody the secrecy and mystery of a world we can never fully grasp. But the story doesn't end here. In our next segment, we'll turn our attention to the other side, the world of the elites, those who live in comfort, far removed from the mysteries and the dangers of the unknown. As the quiet hum of the radar continues to fill the space around you, a sense of finality settles into the night. You've spent hours under the stars, witnessing the mysteries of the desert and the enigmas hidden in places like Dugway and Area 51. But now, your thoughts drift slowly and inevitably to to another world. A world far removed from the dust, the isolation, and the intrigue of those who hunt for answers. The world of the powerful and the privileged, the military brass who sit comfortably in their well-guarded bunkers, sipping scotch and discussing technology that may not even be ours. Imagine for a moment that you've stepped into one of these high-security command centers. The space is sleek, polished, and filled with the kind of calm that only comes from absolute control. You're surrounded by towering walls of metal and glass, lit by the cold, sterile light of overhead fixtures that hum with an almost mechanical precision. Everything here speaks of order and security, of lives lived in the shadows of secrecy, but also in the warmth of privilege. The air smells faintly of leather and polished wood, the scent of power and wealth. You sit at a long, gleaming table, an exquisite piece of furniture, each surface meticulously smooth, each corner sharp and exact. The room is well appointed, almost luxurious in its design. It's clear that comfort is not a concern here. The atmosphere is composed, detached. This is a space where decisions are made not out of necessity, but out of privilege. The people who occupy these rooms, the high-ranking military officials, exude an air of quiet confidence that can only come from years of commanding authority. But as you look around the room, you sense something else beneath the surface, something not quite so visible, a quiet awareness that these men and women are on the edge of something much larger than themselves. The conversation flows easily between them. It's casual, yet heavy with significance. One might mention a recent report from a place like Dugway, an update on the progress of a new experimental weapon. Another might shift the topic to Area 51, perhaps discussing the latest advancements in alien technology that have recently been declassified, though no one says the word alien out loud, preferring to call it foreign or other. The tone is respectful, professional. There's no sense of urgency. No one here seems particularly concerned with the mysteries of the world. Those strange lights in the sky, the unexplained occurrences that plague the men and women in the desert. To them, this is merely a business as usual, a task to be managed, a project to be discussed, a challenge to overcome. You can almost see the scotch tumbling over the ice in the glass, the smooth, rich liquid gliding effortlessly to the edge. As one of the senior officers leans back in their chair, they sip, eyes fixed on the latest report, as though the fate of the world were contained in that one document. The weight of what they know, the responsibility, the knowledge feels lighter here, surrounded by comfort and wealth. The burden of secrecy doesn't seem to rest as heavily on their shoulders as it does on those in the field, the ones in the desert, or at the edges of military installations, watching the sky and waiting for answers that never come. There's a certain disconnect here, something intangible, that separates these men from the rest of the world. The men and women who risk everything to uncover the unknown. They are comfortable in their certainty. After all, they know the true nature of what lies behind the closed doors of places like Area 51 and Dugway. They understand the importance of what's hidden away, the experiments that may or may not lead to a new age of technology. But they also know that the public, the people in the deserts, the watchers, will never truly understand. They are separated from the truth, not by distance, but by something else entirely. A world where everything is kept under lock and key, where secrecy and control are the most valuable assets. The conversations turn to the future, the next generation of weapons, the next phase of technological advancement. There's no mention of UFOs, no mention of the unknown. They speak in terms of power, in terms of what is ours: human innovation, human control. It is a world that has not yet touched the mysteries of the skies or the depths of the earth. But to them, it doesn't matter. They are the ones who control what is known. The secrecy, the knowledge, it is all in their hands. They have the final say. Yet somewhere in the back of your mind, there is the nagging feeling that all this control, this carefully orchestrated life of privilege, is only one step away from unraveling. There are forces at play beyond their comprehension, forces they cannot see, and maybe forces they are actively trying to keep hidden. The lights in the sky, the rumors of alien technology, the inexplicable sightings from military personnel who have been told to dismiss what they saw. There is always more to the story than anyone is willing to admit. The night wears on, and as you imagine the smooth flow of the meeting in the bunker, you begin to sense the divide between the world of power and the world of mystery. In the desert, far away from this place, men and women are fighting the darkness with nothing but their own eyes, their own ears, and a sense of purpose that is as unclear as the stars above. Here, in the sterile room, there are no such struggles. There is no real pursuit of truth, only the conversation of those who know what's as real and what must remain hidden. The men and women of power and influence will sleep soundly tonight, their minds at ease with the knowledge they've kept from the world. Meanwhile, out in the desert, under the wide, star-filled sky, others will continue to wait, perhaps forever wondering what really lies out there. And in the distance, both the watchful and the powerful may never truly know the full extent of the mysteries that lie just beyond their grasp. And with that, we've reached the end of our exploration. From the harsh isolation of the desert to the well-lit comfort of the bunkers, we have followed the contrasts between those who seek answers and those who are already privy to them. As the world around you quiets down and the hum of the radar fades into the distance, it's time to reflect on what we've uncovered, what's been revealed, and what remains hidden. As the radar hums softly in the background and the night stretches on, there is a quiet peace that begins to settle in. The desert, with all its mysteries and secrets, seems far away now, tucked beneath the veil of the present. Yet, as we reflect on the stories we've explored, the contrasts we've uncovered, we are reminded that these strange and unsettling moments of history are never truly gone. They linger like the aftertaste of a forgotten memory, always present, always waiting to be rediscovered. The men and women in the deserts, those watchers of the skies, still scan the heavens, still search for answers that may never come. Their lives, shaped by uncertainty and isolation, exist in a realm where the line between the known and the unknown is always in flux. They live in a world where the whispers of UFOs, the hints of alien technology, and the hidden corners of military installations continue to shape their reality. And though their search for truth may feel endless, the quiet, steadfast nature of their work reflects a deeper understanding that the answers we seek are often not found, but felt, and sometimes it is the journey itself that holds the most significance. On the other hand, the world of the military elites, the ones in their bunkers sipping scotch and discussing advanced technologies with the ease of those who have always held the power, reminds us of the vast gulf between the world of secrecy and the world of the unknown. For them, the mysteries are already solved. What lies hidden is not for public consumption, not for those who are still searching, still wondering. The comfort they enjoy, the privilege they hold, is built on a foundation of knowledge kept carefully away from the world. The truth, as they understand it, is theirs alone to control. In the end, we come to realize that the world of UFO watchers and the world of military officials exist in parallel, separate yet intertwined. One is driven by the need to uncover what lies hidden, and the other by the desire to keep it concealed. Both are on the edge of something far greater than themselves, but one is forever waiting, searching, and the other is content to let the answers remain just beyond reach. And as the stars continue to flicker overhead, as the desert cools beneath the weight of the coming dawn, we can only wonder how many more stories like these remain hidden in the corners of the world, waiting to be uncovered by those brave enough to seek them. For now, though, as the hum of your radar fades into the distance, it is time to let go of these questions, to ease into the comforting quiet of the night. The mysteries we've explored are vast, but so too is the tranquility of the present. Let the world of secrets and shadows slip away and embrace the stillness, the calm. After all, The pursuit of knowledge is as much about finding peace in the unknown as it is about uncovering the truth. Now, as the night settles around you and the soft winds of the desert carry away the last of your thoughts, drift into sleep, knowing that sometimes the most peaceful answers are the ones we never find. Thank you for journeying with me tonight through the strange and captivating world of Cold War UFO watchers. May the quiet of the desert skies and the stories that lie within them remain with you long after the stars fade from view. Sleep well, and may the mysteries of the world, both known and unknown, continue to gently stir in the back of your mind, even as you rest. Until next time. Tonight, as you settle into rest, we'll take a slow and thoughtful journey into a very quiet corner of American history. A place not often explored in textbooks or classroom discussions. A place filled with long silences, slow rituals, and the calm, persistent belief that someone might one day arrive from beyond the stars. This is not the story of flashing lights or little green men. It is not the tale of cover-ups or abductions. It is something quieter, stranger, and perhaps more human. We're going to explore the daily lives of people who gave up everything to join obscure UFO cults, people who left behind cities, jobs, and families to chase meaning among the stars. We'll listen in on soft-spoken leaders, follow along the long months of preparation, and try to understand the world as they saw it. As always, this story is not meant to excite or alarm. It is a gentle retelling, a slow drift through belief, isolation, and yearning. Let the past unfold at its own unhurried pace. You are in no rush. There's nothing to do but listen and let your mind wander. Let's begin in the stillness of a remote desert commune. You live in a remote commune. You wear simple robes, tend gardens, avoid the news. Each night, you meditate under the stars, waiting for contact. Imagine waking to stillness. No traffic, no beeping phone, no headlines rolling past a screen. Just the faint movement of air through paper-thin curtains and the soft creak of wood beneath you as you stretch and sit upright. The room around you is spare, but clean. Whitewashed walls. A simple shelf holding just a comb, a mug, and a small book of meditations. There is no clock. Time here is marked by the sky, the shifting light on the floorboards, the shadows stretching longer across the woven rug as the sun rises. Your bed is nothing more than a cotton mat on the floor, with a folded wool blanket and a linen pillow filled with dried herbs. Lavender and mugwort, the leader once said, to open the mind to dreams. You're not entirely sure what that means, but you have come to accept such things without asking too many questions. Your robe waits where you placed it the night before, folded neatly at the foot of the mat. It is cream-colored and made from unbleached fabric. Everyone in the group wears the same style. Simple, loose-fitting, made for comfort and utility. There is no fashion here. No need for decisions that distract the soul. You slip into your sandals, worn smooth from months of walking the same gravel paths. Outside, the air is cool and dry. The wind carries with it the scent of sun-warmed sagebrush and distant juniper. You can hear the faint buzz of insects waking up along the scrub. You live in a small cluster of cabins arranged in a loose crescent around a central garden. Beyond the garden is a stone ring where the group gathers in the evenings. And past that, just open land. Dusty, golden, endless. You are deep in the desert, hours from the nearest town, unreachable by phone. Each morning follows a rhythm. You begin in silence. The group does not speak until after the first meal. It is a quiet hour, spent in meditation or simple motion-sweeping porches, collecting herbs, lighting candles in the small meditation hall. You head to the garden, where the others are already beginning their work. Raised beds stretch in neat lines, filled with leafy greens and root vegetables. A drip irrigation system, assembled from salvaged parts, ticks softly as it delivers water in patient droplets. You pull weeds gently, careful not to disturb the soil more than necessary. No one rushes. No one complains. It is said that labor, when done with presence, becomes a form of communion. So you focus on your breath, the dirt under your fingernails, the faint ache in your thighs as you squat and move along the rows. Every gesture is small, deliberate, purposeful. After the garden work, the bell chimes. A small brass bell. It hangs near the communal kitchen. It signals the start of breakfast. You gather with the group in the large dining room. Long wooden tables, benches without backs. The room smells of oatmeal, cinnamon, and faintly of old wood. You eat in silence, listening only to the clink of spoons and the occasional chirp of a bird outside the window. The meal is simple. Porridge made from millet or barley, a spoonful of stewed fruit, a cup of herbal tea. All of it grown, harvested, or traded for by the group. Meat is never served. Neither are coffee, processed sugar, or anything from the outside world. The body must remain clean, the teachings say, for the soul to ascend when called. After breakfast comes the morning reading. The leader, a woman in her 60s with silver-streaked hair, tied back in a braid, reads from a thick binder filled with dense pages. The text is part scripture, part manual, part transmission. It is said to have been channeled from the guides, beings of light who orbit the earth unseen. Her voice is calm, unhurried. She reads of frequencies, of energetic shifts, of the vessels being prepared for those who are ready. You sit with the others in the quiet hall, legs folded under you, hands resting palm up on your knees. The air is warm, and occasionally your mind drifts, but that is allowed. In fact, it is expected. You are encouraged to listen with the body, not the mind. The day unfolds slowly from there. There is work to be done repairing solar panels, cataloging dreams from the night before, writing messages to be sent out by mail to interested seekers who have responded to classified ads or found one of the pamphlets left at a bus station or food co-op. Each task is completed without fanfare. You feel, at times, like you're drifting through water-suspended light, untethered from the constant urgency that once governed your life. There is no television, no news from the outside. No currency is exchanged. No one owns anything. If you need new shoes, you ask. If you are tired, you rest. The group believes that material desire is a sign of misalignment, a distraction from the higher frequency. Instead of ambition, there is devotion. Instead of distraction, there is focus. Some afternoons are spent in guided visualization, others in silent prayer or dream journaling. The leader might ask a question for contemplation. What if you are already not from here? What if your body is only the shell and your purpose lies beyond? You may feel, at times, like you are dissolving into the group. Your voice, your thoughts, even your name begin to matter less. There is peace in that. But also, perhaps, an edge of unease you are not allowed to name. At dusk, the group gathers near the stone ring, an open circle of smooth rocks, arranged long ago by earlier members. The leader says this is where the veil is thinnest. The air cools quickly as the sun sinks below the horizon. You wrap a shawl around your shoulders and sit cross-legged in the dirt. A small cassette tape begins to play from a portable speaker. A single droning tone, low, constant, and strange. Some say it mimics the hum of the craft. Others believe it calms the nervous system, allowing your energy body to shift. You do not know. You only know the way the sound makes your chest feel hollow and still. The stars emerge, one by one. The silence deepens, and you begin to wait, not for light or noise or spectacle, but for resonance, a presence, something just beyond the veil, listening back. You have given up your job, your apartment, your online profiles, your name. You have stepped out of time. Now you are simply preparing for contact, preparing for departure, or perhaps simply preparing to believe. The story of Marshall Applewhite and Heaven's Gate, not the sensational headlines, but the soft-spoken man, the long months of preparation, and the ideology behind the curtains. Let us now step away from the silence of the desert commune and follow the quiet path of a man whose spiritual journey led him to create one of the most unusual and misunderstood religious groups in American history. His name was Marshall Herff Applewhite, but in the world he helped build, he would become known as Dew, not a title of authority, exactly. More like a musical note, a tone that held meaning beyond itself. He was born in 1931 in the wide skies of Texas, the son of a Presbyterian preacher. His early years were steeped in scripture and song. He learned to sing in churches, and as he grew, he found comfort in the structure of sacred music. He had a strong melodic voice, one that would later guide followers through hymns, not of earth, but of other realms. In his younger life, he pursued music professionally. He became a teacher, a performer. He taught at universities. He wore ties, shook hands, held rehearsals. In many ways, he lived a perfectly ordinary American life. But beneath that polished surface, something deep was stirring. Marshall struggled with identity. He felt, at times, like he didn't quite belong in his own skin, let alone the world. He sought guidance through religion, but what he found there felt incomplete, too rigid, too earthbound. He wanted to reach higher. In 1972, everything shifted. That year, he met Bonnie Nettles, a nurse with a quiet intensity and a deep interest in the metaphysical. She read books on reincarnation, channeled messages from unseen beings, and believed in life beyond the visible realm. Their meeting was described by both as fated. They were, they claimed, spiritual twins. Together, they began to interpret passages from the Bible in new ways. They combined Christian ideas of ascension with theories of extraterrestrial life and soul migration. The universe, they believed, was full of intelligent life, and Earth was merely one stop in a much larger journey. They took new names, T and Dew, like musical tones in a celestial scale. To outsiders, these ideas seemed bizarre, but for them and eventually for their followers, this new cosmology brought a sense of purpose. The pain and confusion of life could be reframed. It wasn't meaningless. It was preparation. In the mid-1970s, T and Dew began traveling across the country, holding quiet meetings in rented church basements, libraries, motel conference rooms. They would stand before small crowds and speak with calm sincerity. They didn't ask for money. They didn't demand devotion. They simply asked, "Do you feel like you don't belong here?" For those who did, the message was powerful. They spoke of the next level, a plane of existence beyond the human. They said our bodies were vehicles, temporary containers for the soul. That Earth was about to be recycled, and only those who detached from worldly ties could move on. A group began to form. First a handful, then dozens. People left their homes, their families, their pasts. They sold their belongings, disappeared quietly, joined the group, which at times traveled like a modern caravan camping in remote areas, living communally and following what they believed were instructions from the beings above. Despite their growing numbers, the group remained remarkably quiet. They didn't proselytize. They didn't riot or protest. Instead, they moved silently from state to state, changing names, adopting new identities, always focused on spiritual preparation. Inside the group, life was structured but serene. Members gave up everything: possessions, relationships, even their own names. Each person was given a new name ending in Odie, symbolizing that they were now a vessel one step closer to the next evolutionary level of existence. They avoided indulgence of every kind. There was no sex, no alcohol, no media. Meals were shared. Clothes were uniform. Even emotions were gently redirected. The human body was seen as a distraction, a biological form that could be transcended through discipline and devotion. They studied, meditated, worked jobs together to earn income as a unit. They often took on tech-related assignments, early adopters of computers and web development. Eventually, they would build a website to spread their message, one of the first spiritual collectives to use the internet in this way. But beneath the surface, the group was shifting. In 1985, Bonnie Nettles passed away from cancer. Her death shook the group deeply. They had believed she would ascend with her body intact, but Dew, grieving and alone, reframed the narrative. He told the group that her soul had simply exited her container early, that the next level was still real, and their path unchanged. This reinterpretation allowed the group to continue. For more than a decade afterward, they lived quietly, still waiting. By the early 1990s, they settled in Southern California, rented a home, took on a subdued routine. They lived in modest, neatly kept spaces. They watched reruns of Star Trek, The Next Generation. They meditated. They met each morning for updates. They maintained meticulous behavioral logs. They believed the Earth was nearing its expiration date, and they believed they were among the few who would be called to leave it. In 1996, a bright comet appeared in the sky. Hail Bob. It was brilliant, visible even from city rooftops, trailing a long, unmistakable tail of ice and dust. And for Dew and the group, it was the long-awaited sign. They came to believe that a spacecraft, cloaked from human detection, was trailing the comet, that it would pass near Earth only once, and they had to be ready. The final months were not panicked. They were peaceful. The group made videos, soft farewell messages spoken calmly into a camera. Their eyes were clear, their tone gentle. They smiled, wore identical clothing, black shirts, sweatpants, and white Nike shoes. The act itself, the departure, was carefully planned, step by step. They believed they would be leaving behind their vehicles, their human bodies, and reuniting with the crew that waited just beyond the stars. In late March of 1997, over several days, they followed through. When the world discovered what had happened, there was shock, disbelief. The word cult was spoken again and again. The footage replayed. The questions spiraled. But inside that house, inside the world they had built for themselves, there was only quiet, only the belief that the long journey was complete. It is not our place to draw conclusions about the truth of their beliefs, but what we can do is listen to the tone of their voices, to the structure of their days, to the quiet certainty that, in a world of noise and confusion, they had found a path, not a wide, well-lit one, but a narrow gate, a gate to somewhere else. The rise of walk-ins and soul exchanges in 1970s, UFO spirituality, beliefs in alien reincarnation, and extraterrestrial enlightenment. Let us drift now, not forward in time, but sideways, into a softer, stranger layer of the 1970s, a decade humming with incense, synthesizers, and a rising tide of metaphysical questions. Picture the world then. Orange shag carpet, Skylab overhead, a lingering distrust of institutions after Watergate, and a blossoming hunger for meaning that wasn't bound by steeples or science books. It was in this climate that a curious belief began to quietly take shape, a belief that souls were not fixed, and that some people walking among us weren't quite who they used to be. They were called walk-ins. A walk-in, in this worldview, is a non-human intelligence, often extraterrestrial, sometimes interdimensional, that enters a human body not through birth, but through replacement. The original soul, it said, leaves, sometimes willingly, sometimes due to trauma, and the new one simply steps in. There are no flashing lights, no surgical marks, no grand moment of transformation. Often, the shift is subtle, noticed only by the person themselves, or those very close to them. One day, they feel heavy, lost, human. The next, they are calm, detached, suddenly curious about celestial geometry or ancient languages. They no longer fear death. They feel as though they've come home. Walk-ins were not considered sinister. They weren't invaders. They were guests. Volunteers, even. Their mission was usually spiritual in nature, to help Earth through a period of transition, to awaken others, to balance vibrations, to carry information from other dimensions, often through channeling, automatic writing, or spontaneous visions. These ideas didn't emerge from nowhere. They were built on decades of spiritual experimentation theosophy, reincarnation, Eastern philosophy, spiritualism, and the UFO contactee movement of the 1950s. But in the 70s, the idea of alien soul exchange became especially resonant. Books were published. Seminars were held in hotel ballrooms with dimmed lights and folding chairs in neat rows. Flyers were printed and passed around at yoga studios, health food stores, and occult bookstores. A typical seminar might begin with a long meditation, soft electronic music humming beneath a recorded voice. The speaker, often dressed in white, would talk calmly of vibrational alignment, of planetary missions, of preparing the body for occupancy. Some walk-ins described their moment of arrival as a near-death experience, others during surgery, some during a breakdown, and a few simply in sleep. They would wake up and feel fundamentally different, not disturbed, not confused, just clear. These individuals often changed careers, abandoned long relationships, moved to rural areas, or joined spiritual communities. Some became authors, healers, or quiet wanderers who no longer felt tethered to the ordinary rhythms of Earth life. Their new soul, they would say, had different priorities. Not ambition, not romance, but transmission, helping others awaken to a broader, stranger truth. Walk-in culture overlapped with many other spiritual and UFO-adjacent movements of the era. Channelers claimed to speak with entities from the Pleiades or Arcturus stars, believed to be homes to highly evolved beings. These beings, channeled through calm voices and blinking eyes, delivered messages of cosmic unity. They spoke of galactic councils, planetary timelines, and the illusion of linear time. Groups like the Ashtar Command claimed that Earth was being watched carefully by benevolent extraterrestrials' guides, who would intervene only when the spiritual crisis of the planet reached a tipping point. For some, these beliefs were comforting. For others, they were lifelines. A new cosmology for people who had grown disillusioned with older systems of belief. You didn't need to pray. You didn't need to convert. You simply had to tune in and listen. Even now, there are people who quietly identify as walk-ins. You might pass them in a grocery store, or sit beside one on a bus. You might even be one and not yet know. Because in this system of thought, identity is not fixed. Souls move like weather, sometimes arriving without warning, sometimes staying for a season, and sometimes quietly leaving. The line between human and alien in this worldview is not a bright border. It is a haze, a shimmer, something you notice only when the light hits it just right. And for those who believe, this doesn't cause fear. It brings a kind of peace, because if your soul is not yours alone, if it is a thread in a much wider weave, then you are never truly alone. Not in this life, not in the next, and not in the quiet space between. The World of UFO Influencers Today conferences, bestsellers, podcast empires, and the paradox of commercialized contact. Let's return now to the present, not to the quiet hush of the desert commune, not to the soft candlelit circles of the 1970s, but to a brightly lit convention center, one with plastic lanyards, polished concrete floors, and vendor booths arranged in perfect rows. Welcome to the modern UFO disclosure scene. Here, the rhythm is different. Not slow, not quiet, but scheduled, amplified, and monetized. Imagine yourself walking into one of these gatherings. The banners are bold. High-resolution images of nebulae stretch across 10-foot signs. Words like disclosure, starseed awakening, ancient technology, and light codes glow in bold sans serif fonts. There's a large registration table where volunteers hand out welcome bags, usually containing a badge, a schedule, and a glossy booklet of keynote speakers. People stand in line with coffee cups, excited chatter, phones in hand. The energy is curious, hopeful, almost festive. This is not a fringe affair. These events are held in major cities: Las Vegas, Phoenix, Sedona, Denver. Hotels that host corporate conferences one weekend and galactic consciousness expos the next. Inside, the rooms are large and climate-controlled. The seats are padded. The lights dim just enough to focus attention on the stage, where speakers, many of them authors, influencers, or self-described experiencers, deliver calm, practiced lectures, often accompanied by PowerPoint slides and ambient music. They speak of interstellar civilizations, channeled star councils, energy portals, and downloads. But their delivery is smooth, confident, professional. Some of them have thousands, even millions, of online followers. They sell books, often bestsellers, in niche spiritual categories. They host podcasts and live streams. They offer one-on-one consultations and online courses. The language is sleek, market-tested. Instead of aliens, they say non-terrestrial intelligence. Instead of cult, they speak of spiritual alignment and frequency elevation. And in many ways, it's not so different from a tech summit or wellness expo. There are product booths selling crystals, tuning forks, high-frequency supplements, and EMF shielding necklaces. One vendor offers devices that promise to decalcify the pineal gland. Another sells meditation headbands with built-in neural feedback sensors. Off to one side, a line has formed for an aura photography booth where visitors pay for a Polaroid-style portrait said to capture the colors of their energetic field. There is, at times, a soft contradiction in the air. Many speakers warn of humanity's dangerous dependence on materialism and technology, but they do so into high-end microphones. Their words streamed in 4K to a digital audience with monthly subscription access. Some speak of contact with higher beings. They describe waking up aboard ships or receiving visions during lucid dreams. Others present a more clinical tone, using terms borrowed from quantum mechanics or neuroscience. The boundary between science and spirituality here is fluid, sometimes blurred, sometimes carefully arranged. And those in attendance? They are often thoughtful, curious, calm. They come from all walks of life: retired teachers, computer programmers, yoga instructors, engineers. Some are veterans of older spiritual movements. Others are newcomers drawn in by a single podcast or video. They sit quietly during the lectures. They take notes. They ask polite questions during the Q&A sessions. For some, this is their first step into an expanded worldview. For others, it's a long-awaited confirmation of what they've always felt. There is a strong sense of community. Not dogmatic, but shared. Unlike the closed, cloistered groups of the past, today's seekers stay connected online. They join private forums, attend weekly Zoom meditations, subscribe to newsletters that offer channeled messages from Sirius or Andromeda. And while some still live in remote spiritual communities, many live in cities and suburbs. They drive cars, pay rent, have families. Their beliefs are tucked quietly between day jobs and grocery runs. Even the concept of the walk-in lives on, though it has been rebranded. Now it appears on TikTok as soul integration or starseed activation. It is paired with soothing visuals, trending hashtags, and soft-voiced narrators. The message, at its core, remains: you are not only human, you are here for a reason. And the universe, is watching. But where older groups removed themselves from the world to listen for distant frequencies, today's influencers speak directly into the noise. Their messages compete with countless others for attention, likes, shares, and algorithmic favor. This is the paradox of modern contact culture. What was once quiet, obscure, and hidden has become a product, a brand, an empire of gentle conviction wrapped in podcast jingles and YouTube thumbnails. Still, something persists beneath the surface. A yearning, not for fame or wealth or spectacle, but for belonging, for understanding, for home, whatever that word might mean. And in hotel ballrooms, beneath fluorescent lights, strangers sit side by side in folding chairs, eyes closed, palms open to the ceiling. A speaker on stage invites them to breathe deeply, to imagine light entering through the crown of the head, to feel the presence of something greater, watching, waiting, welcoming. And in that moment, however briefly, they remember the old stories of walk-ins, of soul exchange, of desert nights and humming tones, of ships hidden behind stars, and the quiet certainty that something more is coming. And now, as we gently step away from the distant communes, the quiet meetings, the pale robes, the waiting circles under stars, as we leave behind the candlelit seminars, the pages of spiral notebooks, the soft hum of cassette tones and carefully handwritten messages from beyond, as we close the door to the shimmering halls of modern disclosure, the podcasts, the panels, the flashing badges with galaxy-themed lanyards, we return to ourselves, to the still space just beneath thought, where something quieter always lingers. Because whether you find these stories strange or familiar, whether you hear them as metaphors, mysteries, or memories from another life, they remind us of a simple ancient truth, that humans have always longed to reach higher, to step beyond the visible, to seek something greater than themselves, something just beyond the edge of understanding. And though these beliefs take many forms, ships in the sky, voices in the dark, souls that step in from elsewhere, they are all variations on a single yearning, to belong, to be seen, to be known by something vast, something wise, something watching from far above, or perhaps from deep within. Most of us will never live in a desert commune. We won't trade our names for cosmic syllables. We won't abandon everything to wait for a ship cloaked behind a comet. But we might, in quieter ways, understand the pull, the appeal of stillness, the comfort of surrender, the idea that we are not alone, and never truly have been. So tonight, as you lay in stillness, as your body softens and your mind begins to drift, perhaps you can let that thought rest beside you, like a folded robe, that even in a world of chaos, even in the buzzing noise of now, there are still those who listen for something distant, for a signal, a message, a light, low and steady, waiting in the dark. And in the rhythm of their lives, and the rhythm of your breath, you may feel it too. Something ancient, something vast, something that watches, not to judge, not to intervene, but simply to witness as you rest, as you soften, as you drift, as you too let go of this world. If only for the night. Sleep well. You're not alone.